Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video I want to go over game 3 of CLASHFRONTS on my main account because this was the most intense CLASHFRONTS game we have had, and honestly I did not think we would even end up coming in first place. Things were really close, luck definitely factored into it, as well as our strategy and the activeness of our guild, but actually, all things considered, we are a bit weaker compared to Squids, who is one of the guilds we were competing against, and they are actually rank 1 in the guild supremacy as well. And overall, we'll take a look at their base powers at the end of this video, but they are on average higher than our base powers. Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about the strategy that we used, and strategy can be helpful in CLASHFRONTS, but honestly, CLASHFRONTS is a pay-to-win game mode. It basically, if you are at a big disadvantage, it doesn't matter how good your strategy is, you are going to lose. However, you can still at least try to get some points, maybe end up in 3rd position rather than 4th, maybe even 2nd, depending on the competitiveness of the lobby. So round 1, the strategy is going to be the most simple. You'll first have to evaluate the strength of the guild who is going to be competing with you for the 100 point territory, and it was Kieran, and we knew that we were slightly stronger than them, not necessarily by a huge amount, but definitely we did have the edge, and so we could afford to put fewer teams as long as we have our most powerful teams on the 100 point territory. And so we ended up going for an 80-20 split, as you can see here, and with our 80 teams we were able to quite convincingly defeat 81 teams of Kieran's team, and we had 33 teams left over. And I wanted to be safe rather than sorry. Definitely, if you're really closely matched to the player who is next to you, then you want to go almost all in onto this land, because otherwise all of your teams are going to be basically wasted. And then for the other one, we wanted to have 20 teams here because that can help you clear and get all the combat trial points. If you take a look here, 20 teams was enough for us to get all 30 combat trial points. However, I think even if you put, for example, 10 teams, 8 teams, 5 teams, we're going to see in the later rounds, you're going to get a bulk of the combat trial points just for those teams, because the early combat trials are going to be really easy to clear. You're going to rapidly gain up points. Getting those final points are more difficult. You're going to need to have more teams on there, but 80-20 really seemed like a really good sort of a split to do. But if you were up against a more aggressive competition, you could go 90-10, even 95-5, or even 99-1. All of these are possibilities, but you will have to evaluate based on the strength of who you are against. If you're against someone who you know are going to dominate the 100 territory and you have no chance, I would just go probably I would do one Vanguard skirmish for the points onto the 100, and then I would go on the 80 with most of my teams, ensure you get the combat trial points, because you're probably going to lose out on the 100 anyway. So those are basically the round 1 strategies, pretty simple. Moving on to round 2. So round 2. Now the thing was, if we look at round 1, after we got control of this, now Squids are going to come after the center locations, and we're also going to be coming after the center. We need to go for the 200 because we are competing for the 1st or 2nd position basically, and most people do actually go for the 200s. But if you're the weakest guild, then there is an argument not to go for 200s, and there are other strategies which we'll talk about. But for us, we needed to go for 200. So the question was, do we go for the left 200, which can only be contested by Squids, the red team? Or do we go for the right 200, which can be contested by everyone, like Kieran, us, Squids, and the purple guild? So definitely it didn't make sense for us to go for the right, unless you're calling some sort of fake out or bluff. So we were deciding, okay, we have to go all in on the left 200. That is what we decided. And the thing was, we know Squids are really strong, and also Squids are looking at this exactly in the same way, and they're like, it's much more like common sense for them to also attack this 200 on the left, and they only have to then compete with us, and they are actually stronger than us. So how we distribute it, I think we put 80 or 81 teams onto the 200, and honestly, if I would have to do it again, I think I would go almost all 100 teams on the 200, because you're going to see what happens. In round 2, we went for the 200, but it was just we won with 3 teams left. We had 72 teams deployed. They put 65 teams there. All it would have taken is like 70 teams of them, and they would have gone that massive power swing. And if they would have controlled the 200 and then maintained control of it for the whole fight and gaining the castle, we would have been pretty much guaranteed 2nd. So what happened in this round 2 was basically almost a game decider, or basically this kept us in the competition for the 1st position. This was essential, and it came down to luck, honestly. We should have over-invested teams here, you're gonna see what we did. We put 9 teams over here, and with that, we still were able to get the victory, get the 21 trials, and control it. But we didn't need to have 9 teams here. We could have done maybe 5, but I think I did want to keep this safe because I thought that Squids were gonna attack it. And then here, we didn't have to defend it. It was over defended. We had 8 teams here. Kieran didn't even choose to attack it. But I don't know. Kieran's strategy was a bit strange. I definitely would have expected them to go for my 100s because they should be thinking, like in this position, that because we are competing with Squids for rank 1, that we're both probably going to go almost all in onto this 200, and that is going to leave these 100 zones a lot easier for the taking. Yeah, for both sides. But Squids did also deploy 19 teams here. Purple team was only able to deploy 11 here, and I think purple and blue fought over this territory, and blue kind of convincingly won. This was an error. Like, this is the problem with Clash Fronts. Even when I set the deployment numbers and I set retreat from here, attack the other location, still sometimes people just deploy in random positions. So we had 11 basically wasted team. I knew that there's no point placing anything on this right tile. Either you go all in on the tile or you put 0 on the tile, because just putting 11 teams, it brings us no benefit. So we got points on the Vanguard, but you can just place your Vanguard for that. And that is also another good strategy though. If you want to go, if you think that there's going to be one zone which is going to be attacked by all 4 different guilds, if you place a Vanguard there for skirmish, you can just pick up easy points. Like, look at this, 40 points for the blue and purple team and 50 points for the red and yellow team. But yeah, this was definitely, the 11 teams were not needed, just 1 Vanguard. That would have been optimal. Either way, we lucked out, we got the 200, and we controlled the other bases. But if I had to do this again, I would have went for 85 or something onto the 200. And I think I would have just gone for 5 on the other bases, 1 Vanguard on the 200, or maybe 85, and then 1 on the blue, like where blue won it for the Vanguard skirmish. I think that would have been the optimal strategy. We didn't even try to attack over here. We didn't even bother with it. We're focused on controlling 200, and we got it. So this was great. From this point on, I knew it is essential, and especially because we barely won the 200 here, we need to put more teams onto this 200, ensure we gain control of it, because I know Squids is coming for it. The hamster is going to be on Squids 100 territory, but the thing is, if you give up the 200, you give up a lot of control over the map, because then they will have access to the castle. They'll probably easily be able to position teams there to control it. I think we put over 80. I think I deployed 81 teams as a recommendation on the 200, and then I just put various teams everywhere else. So I actually told my guild, do not put any teams in the castle, because I thought for sure Kieran is gonna go after the castle, maybe all in, because they're probably, I would assume they're thinking that we have to at all costs protect the 200. And so we can't afford to put much power into the 250. The reason for that is because I wanted to maintain the control of the 200. Also because if we had to go all in for the hamster on the final rounds, which is going to be on the red side, I need a control of a 200. If I give up the 200 and I go for the castle, then we're going to be blocked out of the 100. So that's why I thought that blue was going to put some teams into the middle for the castle. So I said, don't deploy any teams in the castle. But my guild members, again, some of them don't listen, because like they deploy randomly, and it worked out in our favor. We had 3 teams deployed in the castle, and when I saw that, I'm like, please remove those teams, put it into like our 200, because those 3 teams could make a difference there. But we ended up winning the castle with 3 teams, because the blue team, Karen, didn't even place a single team in the castle, I guess thinking we were going to go all in on the castle. And again, we barely won. Again, 81 teams were on this location. We won with 3 teams to spare, which is ridiculous. Isn't that crazy? And then they put 67 teams here. But this is showing you, Squids were stronger than us. If they would have put 80 teams here, we would have no chance, even with like 100 teams, to even control this. So like, maybe I shouldn't have even gone so all in into this and just given it up. I don't know. But basically, that's what happened. And then from this point, we're feeling so confident because we have a massive point lead, as you can see. And now we just have to lock in. We just have to, because now the following 2 rounds are going to be the hamster rounds. And I know that because everyone else is competing for the 2nd and even 3rd position, I was sure that a lot of people are going to go all in on the hamster. And then they won't be able to afford to attack my castle, to attack the 200 we have here. And so, like, basically, the difficult stages, we managed to make it through, and now we're just going to completely give up on the hamster. After seeing the performance here, I was like, we can't even all in and beat Squids. So, like, if we all in on the hamster, we would just be marching to our own doom. So I was like, give up the hamster, let everyone else take the hamster, and we're just going to try to control the castle, because I think now, after seeing only 3 teams here, Kieran's probably going to go in for that, and then try to maintain our other bases, and then also maybe even try to get at this 80, because the Squids are going to go all in onto this 100 with the hamster, and so we can pick up some other things on the side. So that was basically our strategy. This is what we went for. We managed to control this 80 on the side. Squids got the hamster and they got the 500 points. We went pretty all in, or like we went over 50% of all of our teams into this middle castle, as you can see here, because I didn't know how hard Kieran was going to go, and they hardly went hard at all, but you never know. So I wanted to have almost an assurance that even if they've dropped in 50-60 teams, we would be able to control the castle, because castle is the most valuable point on the map. I knew that Squids would not be able to contest this much, so we only put 21 teams here because they have to put all of their power onto this base. Look at this, 91 teams. If they would have brought 91 teams onto our 200 point base earlier, or land, they would have controlled it, and the match would have been very different. But because they only put 67, we were barely able to maintain it. So overall, and then we controlled this, like now it's looking amazing for us. We got 2,493 points, where it's just game over. We're first. It's now just gonna be a battle for really third and fourth, because Squids is going to again dominate the hamster in the following round. They're going to be guaranteed in the second position. It will just be up to Kieran and the purple guild to decide who is going to be third and fourth. But basically, the game was already decided at this point. But then our strategy was, okay, we're going to basically do exactly what we were doing before. And try to, but of course, because we already have control of this base, we should move all teams away from here other than one team into, like, for example, this territory over here and this 200 territory over here, so that we can hold off a bit better, even if Squids tries to reclaim some of this property, because this 80 here is now completely safe. But then what people did in my guild is they completely moved, everyone moved off of this 80 in the corner. So we ended up, I think, not even getting the melee points of the 80. It's not like we even needed it, but like I was like, we needed one team here, because then you just get the free 80 occupation points, and then however many combat trials that one team can clear, probably like 5 or 6 different floors, and then until that's 15 or 16 combat points. And if it's a vanguard, you also get the 8 points for not participating in the skirmish, I think. So like we basically gave up on 100 points by just moving one vanguard away from 80, because there was a vanguard here at like 2 minutes left until the battle phase was going to begin, and then I pointed him as a vanguard, and then he moved off of it. I'm not going to say who it was, but basically that's what happened. So I should have just kept my team there as a vanguard, because yeah. So but overall our guild did really great. Kieran didn't even bother with the castle, and Squids just deployed one team for the vanguard skirmish, and we control everything. So anyway, guys, that ended us off with 3,368 points, even though, as you guys saw from the battles, we were actually the weaker guild. If Squids would have all-inned us on the 200 in round 2, and then maintained the control, we would have ended up second. It would be almost impossible for us to end up first if they would have gone that. But we barely won in round 2, and then barely won in round 3 after that. And honestly, it's just because they didn't deploy more teams there. We basically almost capped it out on round 3. If you look at round 3, how many teams we had here, we had 81 teams here, and I think all of Splash's teams were here. I told Splash, put all of your teams on the round on this 200, and still we only beat it with 3 teams to spare when they brought 67. If they would have brought their 91, it would be game over. And I think they probably, if they did that in round 2, they just would have won. So that's how strategy can make a difference if you're on a similar level of playing field. However, like I mentioned at the beginning, this is a PvP mode. This is a pay-to-win mode. If the guilds you're fighting with are overpowering your guild, there's no chance. You can just compete for third or fourth, basically. Like if, for example, we were in the blue guild or we were in the purple guild, we can only compete for third or fourth. The only way we could get second is if somehow like Squids crushed our guild and like we were never able to get in, and somehow like Kieran maybe maintained the blue and other 80s and barely beats us out. But yeah, it's basically just gonna be a battle for third or fourth if you are the lower powered guilds. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to share this because this was a really fun sort of CLASHFRONTS. This was the first time we actually had we were put to the test. Like we felt the fire basically in this match, and I knew it from the beginning that this was going to be really difficult. Now to recap exactly the power of this guild that we are facing, we've always been rank 2. since we've been paired up with Squids. They are the higher rank in guild supremacy. And if you look at the power across their team, 70 billion Jesus, then 62 billion, 70 billion, another 60 billion here, and then we have 60 billion, 65, Starforce 67 billion. As you can see here, 64 billion. A lot of high power players in Squids. So overall, they were the stronger guild compared to us. If you take a look at our guild, we basically have two strong members, Splash and Wooster. And even Wooster's our second strongest, and he's only 64 billion. And he's like holding top 5 of Supreme Arena. Splash as well. And then I'm like the third strongest, 58 billion from Daymar. And then 59 of Gazon. But a lot of us are around the 50 range, some even sub 50. So overall, basically, that is the thing. We were overpowered by a decent amount, but we managed to actually come first, and by a long shot, due to strategic positioning and also strategic mishap of the other guild. So that is the thing, right? Overall, Squids did well. Like, they did well, and they probably thought with their 67 teams they would be able to control the 200, or that we wouldn't go all in on it. But if they would have went all in as well, and just ensure and like say, that was really the key point in the whole match. That 200 zone, if they could deny that from us, we would have no chance. We couldn't even access the hamster then. Like, we would be in a lot of trouble. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Let me know how your Clash Friends went in the comment section down below, because this strategy is really, I like this a lot. It's really fun and interesting. However, it's just unfortunate because you're not playing with an even deck of cards, right? Some people are playing with like half of the deck filled of aces, and then other people are playing with no aces in their deck. That's basically what Clash Friends is like. There's still strategy involved, but like that's the uneven thing about it. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll hope to see you in the next video. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please smash that subscribe button. We're on our road to 20,000 subscribers. Let's hit it before the end of the season. But thank you guys for watching. Feel free to check out my AFK Journey Discord server. There's a link to that in the description of this video. I look forward to chatting with you guys there. But thank you for watching. I'll hope to see you in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.